喂，林太你好啊，信報嘅，想問兩個問題啦。第一個就係、前商經局局長馬時亨琴日即係都喺報章撰文咧，就批呢、個政府咧喺抗疫嗰度咧就施政失當啦。咁再加埋咧就係最新嘅民調顯示咧，你即係嘅最新嘅評分咧都係2年以來嘅最低位。你自己有啲咩回應咧？有啲咩方法可以令到真係市民對於港府抗疫嘅措施係真係有信心啦？第二個問題就係想問翻，就係你頭先都有提到，就話而家即係疫情下降嘅趨勢，其實都係即係去咗一個停滯期啦。咁會唔會成為一個原因去令到即係政府再決定去押後呢個特首選舉呢？因為其實嗰個提名期押後咗之後呢，已經係即係距離而家都淨係得翻2個禮拜，即係喺即係做呢個決定嘅時間，即係如果真係要再押後嘅話，做呢個決定其實有啲咩考慮，同埋就係會唔會為呢個即係落呢個決定係定一個死線呢？唔該。
第一個問題呢，就係面對第5波嘅疫情嗰種嘅嚴峻嘅程度，無論反映喺每日嘅確診嘅個案，或者係令人好傷感嘅死亡嘅個案。所有關心香港嘅人對於特區政府有批評，呢個我完全可以理解。我個人作為特區政府之首，我亦都可以接受嚇。咁所以我只係好虛心咁繼續接受大家嘅批評，然後呢就好努力咁繼續督促我嘅團隊盡佢哋最大嘅努力去抗疫嚇。呢個係我唯一而家擺喺心裏邊嘅事，冇諗緊其他嘅嘢嚇。第二呢，就係呢個決定係非常之困難。上次2月18號都解釋咗俾大家聽咧，呢個決定係非常之困難，因為我自己經歷過一次嘅選舉，同埋當選之後嘅大量嘅早班嘅工作嚇。咁所以越將呢個選舉押後，即係話越縮短咗後任行政長官可以進行嗰啲重要工作嘅時間，咁所以係非常之困難。咁但係從法律上呢，係仲有可以押後嘅空間嘅。我上一次都解釋過啦，咪又用緊急法，又押後另一套嘅日子。當時都已經話俾大家聽，另一套日子將會係呢一套日子嚇。再做呢就唔得噶啦，因為香港有選舉法例，而基本法呢係規定行政長官呢任期係5年嚇。咁所以已經係超越咗特區政府可以處理嘅能力噶啦。但係我相信呢，其實再押後都唔可能係特區政府自己決定啦，都要睇下中央係點樣睇呢件事，因為行政長官呢係中央任命嘅官員，而特區係不能無特區之首嚇。咁所以呢個點樣處理呢？我今日真係講唔到俾大家聽，但係我只會覺得呢，再押後呢個決定呢係比上一次更加困難嚇。咁亦都係應該由特區，即係透過我本人啦，行政長官呢係再同中央商討。上一次我都話俾大家聽呢，係我向中央提咗報告，中央係贊成押後。咁所以同樣嘅程序呢，相信喺任何再押後嘅考慮呢都會出現。
Thank you. This is a reporter with Bloomberg News. The first question is about with the HKU estimating more than half of the citizens might soon to be infected, and Mrs. Lam just said that the daily cases like plateaued. And are you still trying to get cases back to zero? And if so, whether you will reinstate the measures that like contact tracing or compulsory isolation for all cases, if like the level becomes down to the manageable level, and whether Hong Kong will live with the virus. And the second questions will be on the mainland. Shenzhen and Shanghai has saw like surge from import cases from Hong Kong, and whether Beijing has ever expressed concern where people from Hong Kong would be seeding outbreaks to the mainland, and whether you anticipate that the further restriction for people crossing the border from crossing, either going to mainland side or people from mainland coming to Hong Kong. Thank you.
Thank you for the two questions. The first question is, I am not in a position to comment on any estimates or modeling done by our academic community. I think they are all doing it in their respective scientific way based on assumptions and the data that they have collated. But over the last 2 years and so, we have been working very closely with the various research groups. Some of the graphs that I have shown you just now were also taken from the study by the Hong Kong University Medical Faculty. But judging from the high numbers that we have seen, it will not be a surprise that there are still a lot of silent transmissions in society. And if people now become a bit relaxed and they go out more often and they have gatherings and so on, then this transmission will continue because Omicron is very, very highly transmissible. And that's why I repeatedly try to convey the message this morning that this is not the time for relaxation. This is not the time for being complacent that Hong Kong's epidemic situation is going to improve significantly in the short term. Now, of course, I think in every society we should strive to do our best in combating a public health crisis. Hong Kong has been trying her best since January 2020 to suppress the spread of the COVID-19 virus in Hong Kong, to prevent critical illness and, of course, as far as possible, to avoid deaths. At any point in time, we need to revise, review, and adjust our policy measures. In the current 5th round, yes, we have made far more adjustments to our measures than the previous 4 rounds because the numbers were simply not manageable if we continue to do what we have been doing in the last 2 years, like doing contact tracing of every case and trying to identify the close contact and the close contact of the close contact in every case and putting every of such close contact or confirmed case in an institution. That is simply unrealistic. So we have to adjust our policies by going for this tiered level of isolation and treatment. And of course, we will critically review our experience in this round and decide on how Hong Kong should tackle a future wave of COVID-19 or any other virus in order to achieve the best results. And let me make it clear that the best results, as I said at the very beginning of fighting the epidemic, are public health results, economic results, because I can't see the economy being torn into pieces by just going for public health measures. Third is the people's acceptance and tolerance. So we will continue to be guided by those important principles in devising the best public health strategy for Hong Kong. Now, the second question is about the border. And I have to say that the Central People's Government has been extremely understanding and supportive of Hong Kong. With the clusters now being seen very close to Hong Kong, that is in our neighboring city of Shenzhen. One would expect that Shenzhen could easily close the border, that no Hong Kong passengers could cross the border into Shenzhen in order to cut the transmission. But Shenzhen has not taken this act, and I believe the Central People's Government also does not want to see this happen. So we still have a certain degree of people flow from Hong Kong into Shenzhen, but where the public health considerations dictate, that is, Shenzhen wants to impose more stringent pre-arrival tests of PCR and 24 hours instead of 48 hours, then of course it's a very legitimate response of the city government, and Hong Kong as our government will fully cooperate and support Shenzhen in taking those legitimate measures. Similarly, for the flow of cargo, the Central People's Government, the Guangdong government, and the Shenzhen government officials have all told me and assured me that they would try very hard to ensure the smooth arrival of cargo, especially fresh produce and vegetables that would support the people of Hong Kong. But we need to find alternative measures. So instead of just relying on 8,000 cross-border truck drivers transporting the goods on a daily basis. We now have cargo coming in by sea. We now have cargo coming in by train. So this is to illustrate to you that this very strong support from my mainland counterparts, despite the difficulties or the emergency situation that they are now facing. So we will continue to cooperate fully with the mainland authorities to take the necessary measures to protect the safety and the health of people on both sides, because we belong to one country and we are compatriots, and we would love to see both sides of the border coming out of this epidemic as soon as possible.